What is up, YouTube? We're back from the YouTube video, and we're here with a Exodus Garden 2A Legend Lost Sector guide. Now, if you have seen any of my other Legend Lost Sector guides, I did say that if Bungie nerfs Malfeasance, I will remake the guides. That way, I'm not going to leave you guys with a guide that is stuck with a weapon that isn't usable anymore. And look at what Bungie did. It's like they knew and they decided to nerf Malfeasance. So I'm gonna be honest with you, I was expecting it, so that's why I am gonna be doing all the guides all over again. So there we go with that. But again, Exodus Garden 2A, you're gonna find this in the Cosmodrome, so go to your Destinations tab and then spawn right here in Cosmodrome, and then make sure you spawn in at the steps. And then when you spawn in, you're gonna be spawn looking in this direction. Just turn around and then go to your right here, and you're gonna go through this little broken building slash complex. You can use your Sparrow, but I've just opted not to do it just because it is kind of, a struggle to kind of get through every corner and, every part of this without getting it blown up by these AI. You can see I'm just going to jump over them. I'm going to act like they don't even exist and go this way. You can see more AI, yay. And then go past them. And then once you reach this area, it's pretty much the new area. The divide is what you're going to enter. So you're going to see it in a couple seconds right here, the divide. Now you can take out your Sparrow and just go straight down here. And the Lost Sector is actually going to be on the left side here. You're going to see as you reach this point, you're going to have the Lost Sector icon there. You're going to see it as well up here. They're kind of guiding you on where you have to go. And you can see the flag right there. But if you don't see this flag or the icon on the map that I'm about to show you right now, if you don't see that, then that means you have to complete it normally and make sure you kill every enemy, kill a boss, and loot the chest at the end to unlock legend and master difficulty. So you can see, you'll go through here if you don't see that icon or the banner outside, and you can see as you approach another Lost Sector symbol, another one right there, and then you'll have enemies in here. Just go through it like I said normally, kill everything, kill the boss, loot the chest at the end, and then you'll unlock legend and master difficulty for this Lost Sector. So now we're going to go back up here and we're going to go over the modifiers. So let's just reach up here and let's hope that none of these enemies decide to shoot at me. But I'm going to kind of hide behind this. You can see for the modifiers, we have shielded foes, so Fates combatants with void shields, locked loadout and extra shields. We have equipment locked, limited revives, barrier and overload champions, void threat 25% increase to incoming void damage, scorched earth, enemies throw grenades significantly more often, overcharged weapons. Weapon overcharges from the seasonal artifact are active in this activity. Kinetic weapons do increased damage when your subclass element matches an active surge. Strand surge 25% bonus to outgoing strand damage. Arc surge 25% bonus to outgoing arc damage. Then overcharged linear fusion rifle 25% bonus to linear fusion rifle damage. Now when it comes to the rewards, enhancement cores are uncommon, and if completed solo, exotic head armor is rare. If you need exotic head armor, I highly recommend farming this one. You can see today I got this one done in under 5 minutes, but if you're really efficient with everything and you're like a speedrunner at heart, you can get this done really fast. So by all means, if you need exotic head armor, I highly recommend this Lost Sector. But you can see recommended power 1830, but 1810 and above you should be just fine. So we're going to get into the loadout now. So here's the loadout. You can see for my subclass, Strand subclass with Silk Strike, and then we got Marksman Dodge, Triple Jump, Threaded Spike, Throttling Grenades, and we have Widow's Silk with Threaded Spectre. Then we have Thread of Generation, Thread of Evolution, Thread of Binding, and Thread of Continuity. Now when it comes to my first weapon, you don't have to run a Strand auto rifle. It can be a kinetic weapon, but I'm just running a Strand weapon. That way it helps with the synergy of the build. But you can see this is what I'm using. This is a seasonal weapon from Season of Defiance. Now the last time I did use a seasonal weapon, a lot of people in the comments were saying that I shouldn't be using seasonal weapons, the free-to-play players don't have it, this and that. Again, feel free to use a kinetic auto rifle if you don't have this, but this is what I'm going to use just because it, in my opinion, makes the build a little better. You have hats and you can take advantage of generating Strand weapon final blows with your weapons to generate tangles and stuff like that. So that's why I'm using this weapon. But just to show you, there are other Strand auto rifles. If I go to weapons here, you can see, for example, right here, Old Sterling. I believe this is an open world drop. However, it is kind of annoying to try to farm it just because it is like an open world drop, like I said, so the RNG is pretty crazy for it. But this is one auto rifle, but there are probably others. I don't really have a whole lot of them. If they're tied to the raid, that's probably why. Yeah, you can see That's a strand auto rifle. So, you know, I'm just using what I have. And again, if you don't have this, just use a kinetic weapon. You'll take advantage of the kinetic weapon buff because you are using a strand subclass that's matching the active surge. So again, just use whatever you want. This is what I'm using. And then, like I said, hatchling and Zen moment, just what I have on it. And then this is going to be used for barrier champions. So you can see here for the anti-barrier auto rifle, that's what I'm going to be using to break barrier shields with the auto rifle. Now for the secondary slot, the Monarch, it's an exotic void bow, and it has intrinsic overload rounds built in to stun overload champions. And I like this way more than any of the other options. Prior to my first recording where I used malfeasance to pretty much get rid of every champion, you can't do that anymore. Unfortunately, Bungie decided to patch it, so that's just never going to happen again. And I have zero interest in using overload hand cannon when it's not with malfeasance, so I was like not using that. And then overload machine gun, I was like, I'm not using that either. I mean, I was tempted to try it just because, you know, overload machine gun doesn't sound too bad compared to overload hand cannon. But I was like, you know what? What's another overload weapon, or what's an exotic that has overload rounds built into it? I saw the Monarch, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to use that. This is going to stun champions as long as you use the poison arrow. And if you don't know, pretty much as soon as you ADS, you're going to see your kind of iron sights, I guess you can call it. They're going to start glowing, and you have like 5 seconds to shoot that arrow and hit something in order to stun with the overload round on it. So just think of it like that. You're going to see it in the gameplay a lot, but just know that's kind of the gameplay loop here. If you want to make sure you get an overload stun every single time, make sure you charge up the shot within like 3 seconds and then shoot it. That way it's always going to stun. But that's why I'm using the Monarch. And the Void AoE damage is pretty good too for getting rid of red health bar enemies. In my opinion, it's just an all-around good weapon, so that's why I'm using the Monarch. Now for my heavy slot, Circular Logic, and we got Hatchling on it, which is pretty much the main takeaway. And I'm going to point this out later on when I go over the artifact perks that we have. But Nanotech Tracer Rockets is something that's going to get kind of a little buff. It's not game-changing in any way, however, just know it is something that's going to be used. And Hatchling, if you can get that, again, very useful. You can see 2 of my weapons here getting Hatchling. I didn't use the auto rifle too much, to be honest. It was only to break shields. But if I was using it to get a lot of kills, I'd be generating hatchlings and tangles and stuff like that for the build, so that would be very useful. You're going to see at the start of the Lost Sector, I did use Circular Logic to kill ads, and that generated orbs and also generated tangles. So with the build, there's a lot going on, and it's very easy to kind of, you know, pick up and use. So that's going to be my 3 weapons there. Now when it comes to the armor, for the helmet, Void Siphon, Strand Siphon, and Strand Siphon, just to show you, this does have the dual Void Strand and dual Siphon mod. It's from the artifact. I will show you at the end kind of everything that I have from the artifact, that way you can copy this. But that's why I have 2 strand ones, because from this, and then I have Harmonic Siphon, and this is going to match whatever your subclass is and allow you to generate rapid weapon final blows to create orbs of power. So you can see I have Harmonic Siphon on here, and since I have Strand subclass, it's going to make it Strand Siphon. So that's kind of how that works. But that's what I have here with Ashes to Assets, where you gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. And then for the arms armor, we have Firepower. Your grenade final blows create orbs of power. Grenade kickstart. When your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy. Then additionally, your armor charge is consumed, and you gain additional grenade energy for each stack. Fastball increases grenade throw distance, and just to show you, fastball really isn't that important. I took it off, and it's the only one that I have there, so I was like, you know what, might as well use it. But then when it comes to the chest piece, this is where I have my damage resistant mods on, and to be honest, I just ran an arc resistant mod and a void resistant mod. I didn't notice too big of a difference. I will say to keep the void resistant mods, just because there is those servitors that do void damage at the end. There's going to be 3 of them. One is going to be a boss, and there's going to be 2 mini boss servitors, so keep your eyes out for those. But I think the enemies that were fallen, right? And I think they did arc damage, but I didn't really make any changes to this. I kind of just winged it, and I ended up getting it done, so that was pretty easy. But again, if it's different, make changes, do whatever you want. But this is just what I used: 1 arc and 2 void. Now for the exotic slot here, I put Star Eater scales on, and I'm not gonna lie with you, it's not that important to use Star Eater scales here, just because the boss is a flying servitor, and you can't really hit your super on that, at least with Strand, relatively easily. You can get it done. You're gonna have to like jump and then light attack or heavy attack, whatever. But in my opinion, it's just not worth it to try to use your super on the boss. I use my super in the room right before the boss that you're gonna see, and that's the room that's kind of filled with ads and stuff like that. That's gonna be a barrier champion and an overload champion. I just use my super there to make that room a lot easier. That way, you're not wasting a whole lot of time there. Just trying to stun a champion, get a kill, run away, because there's a lot of barrier servitors. Well, there's one barrier servitor and like 3 regular servitors, so that's why that room gets annoying, because they make enemies immune. So you can see I just try to charge up my super before I get there, get a lot of kills with super, and then pretty much just use my heavy for the boss room. So again, if you want to use another exotic, by all means go ahead. I don't really know what's another exotic that would, work well here. I didn't put that much thought into it. But if you know one, make sure to leave it down in the comment section below, and who knows, maybe I'll end up trying it in a later video. But you can see for the leg armor, like I said, start your scales. This is going to overcharge our super every time we pick up orbs of power, and that's going to go to Feast of Light times 4, I believe. So when you pick up 4 orbs of power after your super is already charged, then you can overcharge it. Then we have Better Already. Your health begins to regenerate immediately after picking up an orb of power. Strand Weapon Surge. Your strand weapons gain a small bonus to damage while you have any armor charge. Your armor charge now decays over time. Then Void Weapon Surge. Your void weapons gain a small bonus to damage while you have an armor charge, and then your armor charge now decays over time. And I forgot to mention this earlier, right? But you can see Strand and Void Weapon Surges. We're generating siphons, or we're generating orbs with the Void and Strand siphons, and you can see Strand Weapon, Void Weapon. So no matter what gun we use, we're taking advantage of these buffs, but we're also generating orbs with whatever gun we decide to use. So that's pretty useful. Now for the cloak, 2 time dilation mods. Your decaying armor charge has a longer duration, and then Bomber reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. So that's pretty useful. And our class ability again is going to be the dodge for Strand that puts a decoy down, and if you destroy it, or if the enemies do enough damage, it'll break and it'll spawn threadlings and do damage and stuff like that. So that's a very useful one to be using, and every time we use it, we're going to be giving ourselves extra, or we're going to reduce grenade cooldown, I should say, when we use a class ability. So pretty useful. That's everything that I got there. Now one thing I want to do is go over the artifact really quickly and just show you everything that I have on. That way, if you want to copy this build, you can pretty much get as much use out of it as possible. So you can see anti-barrier auto rifle. That's what I'm using to stun barrier champions. Then the next one is going to be Void / Strand Siphon combo. And again, like I said, this is on the helmet. That way it turns your Void and Strand Siphon mods into 1. Then we have Origin Perk Specialization 1. And this greatly improves the benefits provided by nanotech tracer rockets. And again, by no means is this meta, game changing, or anything like that. I just have it on because I was like, hey, I use nanotech tracer rockets on my LMG, so let me throw that on. So that was the thought process behind that. You can use this Strand Weapon final builds to have a chance to generate a tangle. Like I said, our auto rifle and our LMG here are strand weapons, so when we get kills with them, they have a chance to generate a tangle, which is pretty nice. And that's going to work hand in hand with this. Elemental munitions. Combatant final blows with tangles or elemental orbs have a chance to drop special or heavy ammo. So again, if we get kills with our strand weapons, pick up a tangle, kill some red health bar enemies, we have a chance to drop special or heavy ammo, which is really nice. But that's the perk there, and that's pretty much the last main one. You can see here I have picking up a tangle or elemental orb grants energy to your least powered ability. But again, if you don't want to use that, use whatever else you want, but that's one that I have there. Again, you can use overload machine gun if you want, but in my opinion, I just rather run the Monarch. That way I can always stun champions without having to worry about using half the magazine and then stunning it, so that's everything that I have on. So if you want to copy that, by all means go ahead. But that's gonna do it for the loadout, so we're gonna get straight into the gameplay now. So you can see we're spawning in now, and in the room here you're gonna have 2 shanks and 1 servitor. And this servitor does have a lot of health. You can see the LMG takes a lot of shots to destroy it, but you can see you will get a tangle to spawn if you have all the perks on. That's what you want to use against some red health bar enemies here. And when you get some kills, you can see it's either special or heavy ammo. I got special ammo, which I really wanted heavy, so we just move on from that. After you kill a bunch of ads, you are going to get the barrier champion to spawn, as you can see on the right side. And I just wanted to get rid of the red health bar enemy, then throw my decoy down so they can focus on it. And you can see just do damage with the LMG and then switch to your auto rifle to break the barrier champion shield. And then here you can see I ended up getting the kill right here, and we ended up getting rid of the barrier champion. Once you kill the barrier champion on the right side, you are going to have an overload with some red hellfire enemies spawn in. You can see I got a tangle to spawn. I knew the enemies were down there. I think I did get some heavy to drop. You can see it on the left over there. But you can see there's also the overload champion. Now, this could have been a lot cleaner. As you can see, I get my shot off, and then I use my LMG, but I did miss a couple crits there. And I switched a little early, and then you can see he started teleporting. And that's really the last thing you want, is for the overload to start teleporting like that. So you can see I just go, use my LMG, I throw the decoy down just so I can reload fast, and then stun again, as you can see, just like that. And again, by no means was that perfect or anything, but you can see I was able to bring it back really quickly. But luckily I did have some heavy ammo that was dropped there because of the tangle. Now when you reach this point, stop here and then just get rid of these explosive shanks because they're pretty annoying. There's always going to be 3. I didn't know I got that 3rd one there until I didn't see that it spawned. But once you get rid of those 3, you can move up a little bit. I just recommend being careful from that Vandal up there because the damage is pretty crazy. But you can see you can go and get rid of these red hellfire enemies, but you're also going to have another overload. Now you can see I made a tangle here, threw it, got some heavy to drop, which is what I wanted. Then I'm going to stun the overload and then use my LMG here. And you can see when you hit mostly crits, you can get them to about half health, and then just make sure you get another stun. And there we go. You can see easy kill on the overload. Now we just have the barrier champion, and I was gonna pop super here, but I decided, you know what, let me put the decoy, let me do some damage, break the shield. That way he's pretty much like half health. So you can see I go, break the shield, pop super, get rid of all these AI around me, and then just spam my attack here to get rid of the barrier champion. Now when you do this, be very careful because you're going to have explosive shanks. You can see this is why I start to back up. And when I back up here, it's because I know there's going to be like 20 plus explosive shanks that are going to make their way towards me. You're going to see it right here. And I'm not joking when I say this is a lot. You can see I get rid of a whole line of them, and I'm like, okay, there's still more. And you can see they just keep going. So be very careful. That's why I backed up. But after you get rid of them, that's pretty much the last you're going to see of the explosive shanks. You can see we got a servitor here with an orange health bar. Just use my LMG and get rid of that guy. Now you can see, pick up any orbs you can just so you can get those armor charges. And then here we're going to have those little servitors here. And these are pretty easy to get rid of with the Monarch bow. You can use your LMG, however I was like, let me try to save some ammo. And I didn't notice where the boss was at. Now I can see that he's floating back there. But I was like, where's the boss at? So I just started taking out these red hellfire enemies. And it's tradition to always like miss 30 shots on one red hellfire. But you can see I'm getting rid of the red hellfire enemies. The boss was literally hiding behind that middle platform thing. I'm like, where is this guy? And you can see I notice him right there. And that void damage does hurt. It's crazy void damage, I'm not gonna lie. So don't try to take too much damage there. You can see I throw some nades. I try to put a decoy down to see if he would focus on it, but he is just too smart, I guess. He was like, I'm not falling for that. But all you gotta do is just control the room, get rid of the red hellfire enemies. That way it's a lot easier for you to run around and take shots at the boss without taking extra damage. And you can see here, I just posted up behind this box. That way I knew the splash damage wouldn't hit me, and I can end up doing some damage to the boss. You can see I tried to get a tangle kill to generate some heavy ammo, but it didn't work. And I ended up taking out this drag while missing like 4 shots of heavy. You can see I run out, but Le Monarch pretty much saves the day. As you can see, the corrosive poisonous damage does come in pretty clutch and ends up getting the kill there. And then you're going to see there was like a couple red hellfire enemies that I don't know if they just spawned late or if they just didn't spawn at all and they waited until now. But you can see I got rid of them. I don't think you have to kill them, to be honest. I just did it to do it. Here you can see I was trying to collect the loot, but there we go. I did get an exotic. I still don't know what it is. I just never went to my postmaster. And then I'm pretty sure you don't have to kill these enemies, but I did it anyway with my super. But that's going to do it for this guide. If you found it useful, you can see 5 minutes, pretty easy farm. So if you need exotic headgear, by all means go ahead and farm this. but I will be making lost sector guides for all the other ones. I'm going to pretty much take down the other Exodus Garden 2A, and I'll kind of, replace all the other ones as I make these, so just bear with me for the rest of the lost sectors. But you can see 5-minute run, pretty easy. If you found it useful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell so you don't miss another video, and a playlist with my lost sector guides will be popping up on screen right now, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.